I'm standing in front of Joe Chapel Gymnasium at Salinas High School. High school kids play basketball and volleyball inside this building, of course, but a gymnasium like this can also offer us a window into our collective memory. And that really matters because how we remember things can help us understand who we are today and how we shape our futures.
The ways that we remember the past matter, including how we honor our heroes or malign the villains. And sometimes what's important is not so much what is in the foreground of our cultural memories, but what we collectively forget. In my book, The High School, I analyze 120 years of Salinas High School's annual yearbooks, zeroing in on what was routinely celebrated, spotlighted, and amplified in the books, while also probing for the stories that were left in the shadows. What stories do high school yearbooks tell us about gender and sports? Most people in the U.S. know that since the passage of Title IX in 1972, high school sports for girls have moved dramatically towards equity with boys' sports. This is certainly evident in the yearbooks. In the mid-20th century, boys' sports, especially basketball and football, were the celebratory centerpiece in high school life, while girls' sports were mostly ignored and denigrated. In a dramatic shift from half a century ago, or even 20 years ago, high school girls' sports today receive roughly the same amount of coverage in yearbooks and very similar levels of the respect accorded to boys' sports. But if this is an era of growing equity, why then do boys pitch a hardball overhand while girls hurl a softball underhand? Why do boy lacrosse players don helmets and pads, while their girl counterparts need simply to protect their eyes? And why do girl defenders in football stop an opponent by yanking loose her flag, while boy footballers slam a ball carrier's body into the turf? The answers lie in the ways that we continue to think about boys and girls, and men and women, as being socially equal but constitutionally different. Adapted girls' and women's sports reflect a long-standing historical view of girls and women as fragile and in need of protection. Adapted girls' sports have left some critics asking, can separate and different truly be equal?
In an era of growing equality and celebration of girls' athletics, there's actually a tension between equality and difference structured right into the building of this gymnasium.
Built in 2000 to house basketball, volleyball, and other sports for both boys and girls. When the old boys' gym was torn down to make way for the new gym, the 1920s era decorative tiles, which depicted boys playing a range of sports, were removed from the wall, and new ones of a similar style were forged and included side by side with the old tiles on the facade of the new gym. These new tiles depicted women athletes playing basketball, softball, and cheering. Together, the old and new tiles on the gym symbolize a new era of symmetry and growing equity for girls' and boys' sports.
On the other hand, a jarring asymmetry greets visitors as they step into the foyer of this gymnasium. Here, 29 plaques are fixed to the walls, commemorating Salinas High's greatest athletes and coaches in their history, but only one of them, Susan Springer, a track and cheerleading student, only one of them is a woman. 28 of them are men. How do we explain this jarring asymmetry? Part of it has to do with the fact that for 50 years, there was no interscholastic girls' sports at this school. But readers of my book, The High School, know that there's a deeper historical story to this.
Girls played interscholastic sports at Salinas High in the opening decades of the 20th century, and women coached them. As I looked at the Wall of Fame, populated mostly by men coaches of the past, I wondered, where is Ruth Wing, the 1925 to 1946 stalwart girls sports coach? And why don't more of the post-Title IX women athletes and coaches at the school have plaques on that wall? One thing is clear. As girls, including those from the growing Latina population of Salinas High, continue to flock to play sports like wrestling, so often defined as hypermasculine, they challenge myths of female frailty and push up against barriers to fairness and equity. This uneven social change is at the heart of the stories I tell in the high school.